Y'all know what it is, man. It's the check-in. It's the check-in. We up bright and early. We get into it, and we're making sure that we're focused, dedicated to making this our greatest week ever. If you know me, if you know OG, if you're familiar with the OG network, it's the same energy that we've always had. Every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever it is, throughout the week, we're focusing on making that our best moment, making that our best hour, making that our best AM, PM, doesn't matter. We're focused on making it our greatest week ever, wherever we are. All right. We're not waiting for next week. We're not thinking about last week. We're always in the moment. So for today's check in, we're going to be focusing on something that determines in a great way, perhaps the biggest way, of who we are, who we eventually become, and the impact that we'll have on the people around us and perhaps our greater community. So I want to focus on something that came up. Was thinking about this a lot and probably always revisit this. I think about the impact that I'm making, the legacy that I want to have, the impact as far as what my personal legend is going to be. We talk about that a lot when it comes to The Alchemist. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with that book, but that personal legend, it's very important because largely not just the impact that you want to make on other people, but the impact that our thinking will have on ourselves. All right. Because how I think about myself. And it's funny, we were reading that book, The Power of Now, and they were saying that I am who I thinketh. And it's not always necessarily that, but that can set the tone in a lot of ways on who we embrace, who we accept as ourselves. And therefore, that's the energy that we're going to put out. So what is the focus for today? What is your mission statement? What's your mission statement? What are you committed to? And what will the impact of that commitment be? What's your mission statement? So I was going through this in my mind and I was thinking about it for myself. And I said, creating a mission statement is going to set the tone. So then you can therefore create the culture, right? Every successful business has a mission statement and then they have a culture that supports that mission statement. So we're going to go a little bit in a minute or so. We're going to look at Nike's mission statement and as far as like how that impacts the world, how when you think about Nike, is that something that you think of? Is it something that's indirect? Is it something that's direct? But I want us to all be very clear with ourselves on our purpose, what we want to represent, what we want to exude to the universe. Now, why is that important? What we exude to the universe by way of our intentional actions. And that's a very key component to it, by way of our intentional actions, not just branding or faking it, being on Instagram, portraying one particular life, but then living something totally different in our reality, but what we exude to the universe. That's bigger than Instagram. You can't hide from the universe. The universe is aware of how you're constantly thinking, the actions that you're constantly making, all of these different aspects. So you can't fake it. The energy that you put out to the universe, that's going to be what comes back to us in the form of opportunities. It's going to be what results we get in life. It's almost like, we can put on Instagram that we're eating healthy. We can put on Instagram that we're working out, that we're taking our overall health and wellness seriously. But then if you're not doing it in real life, your body's going to show it. Your mind, body, and soul will represent it in different ways that you are not doing the things that you're portraying on Instagram. We want to make sure that we are consistent. We are consistent, that our actions are aligned with our purpose. Our actions are aligned with the culture that we set for ourselves, and ultimately the mission that we're putting out to the world, but more importantly, to ourselves, that we want to be aligned with. So how do we create a mission statement for ourselves? So I was thinking about, what should go into a mission statement as far as the thoughts when you're creating your mission statement for yourself. And I think about the who, the what, the where, the when, and the why. That's kind of like what I initially think about. And whenever I'm creating a project, that's something that I typically do. Who's it going to impact? What exactly is it going to be? Where is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? When is it going to get fulfilled? And what's my why? Why am I creating this? What problem am I solving? So what is the impact of your personal brand going to be? So how I broke it down after, I determined the who, the what, the where, the when, and the why, and we should all do that for ourselves. Who am I? What am I going to contribute to society? What do I represent? What is my brand? What is my culture? Where am I right now in this stage? In this stage in life, as far as what I want to contribute to the world, where am I right now? Where am I currently? Very important. When do I want to accomplish these things by? When am I going to start living by these particular this particular purpose? When am I going to start embracing this particular mission statement? And then what's my why? Why do I want to do this? The why just gives you a little bit of extra inspiration and validation, perhaps, is like, I'm committed to something that is worth committing to. But that's to each their own. So after I get through that, I asked myself, or I kind of created this by committing. I'll just tell you what it is. I wrote, by committing to blank, I will do blank. So by committing to what am I going to do? So for me, and I'll give you, a matter of fact, I'll give you Nikes first. I wrote Nikes down. Hold on. I wrote Nikes down. And it may surprise you. Actually. So Nikes was, or is, to bring, Nike's mission statement is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. Y'all heard it. To bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. And then they write, if you have a body, you are an athlete. So they're committing to everybody, and they want to inspire and bring innovation to every athlete in the world. When you think about Nike, what do you think about? Almost Nike's the sports version, or I'm not sure if we still perceive it as that, but almost like the Tesla of sports in a lot of ways. Constantly looking to innovate. Now, they still focus on the things that, like the Michael Jordan, when you get a big brand like that. But when you think about what Michael Jordan was doing at the time, especially, matter of fact, a lot of y'all should read Shoe Dog, because if you read Shoe Dog, you'll understand maybe just how innovative Nike was, especially when they were getting their brand started, when they were creating their brand, and when they were really getting off the ground to compete, especially in the track world. And then in the basketball world, whether it was, I think it was Bo Jackson first, and then it was Michael Jordan, the basketball world, when everybody was wearing Converse, they had to be innovative. When it came to running track, and they were pushing this in Oregon, I believe, they had to be innovative. And now the overall goal is to inspire, right? To inspire. So that's their mission statement. So when I was thinking about mine, I said, by committing to constantly expanding my potential through growth, I will encourage others to become the best versions of themselves. So that's what I want to be known for. That's what the impact that I want to make. And the impact in a lot of ways that I want to make on the rest of the world, all I have to do is be a representation of that. We talk a lot about on our morning show, shout out to my brother Queez, be the change. Be the change we want to see in the world. A lot of times we think we have to convince this person to do that. The best way to convince somebody is to actually do it and represent it yourself. I go through this all the time in my head. Oh, you want to convince people to get married, to have families? Well, you got to start living that yourself. So let me get back to mine. By committing to constantly expanding my potential through growth, I will encourage others to become the best versions of themselves. What are the areas I want to grow in? Now, I can get very specific. Now, with ourselves, I think we should get very specific and break down what our mission statement is, break down the components, dig a little deeper, even though my mission statement, when I project it to the world, may just be as what I told y'all. But when I break it down to myself, what do I want to expand my potential through growth? What areas? What areas? Mind, body, soul. I want to constantly learn every day. Because if I'm constantly the only way to expand potential is to become better. right? If I become a better basketball player, if I improve my skills on the court, then I grow my potential. But I have to be very intentional about putting the actions behind becoming a better basketball player, improving my shot, improving my dribbling, improving my floor leadership, all these different things. And then my potential of how far I can go in sports, how far I can develop continues to grow as well. So when I say mind, what am I talking? I want to constantly learn something new every day. Body, I want to constantly improve myself. I want to push myself to do things that I was never good at conditioning. All right, so then I need to start working on my conditioning. I never liked running long distance. It was always seen as punishment. Okay, then I need to make sure that I'm committing to doing the things that I never liked doing, which is running long distance. Soul, okay, I need to make sure that I'm connected in a spiritual way, that I'm always improving that relationship between, a lot of people may say, between themselves and God, or their godly connection, which is a spiritual connection, perhaps to each other, to everyone else, as you elevate society, as you elevate the positivity in others and how they're seeing themselves and how they're seeing the world. That's the whole mind, body, soul for me. So by committing to constantly expanding my potential through growth, I will encourage others to become the best versions of themselves. I want people to wake up and feel like, my body's okay, but I can do better. I got a good grade. I passed. I got a C plus or I got a B minus, but I can do better. I can demand more of myself. I'm showing up as a good son. I'm cool. I take my parents, I visit them every once in a while, maybe take them on vacation with us for a little. I want to do better. In whatever role that I'm in life, I want to make sure that I'm constantly pushing myself to do more, to squeeze every single bit of juice out of that lemon that I can, out of that whatever fruit it is that you're squeezing. I want to make sure that I'm exhausted at the end of days because I know that I put my all in. I was just talking to my mother about this the other day. She said, "You look tired." I said, "Mom, I'm always tired." She said, "Yeah, I know. I wish I could take a little bit of that burden off of you." She didn't even say a little bit. I wish I could take some of that burden off of you in different areas. And my mom is very similar to me. She just pushes. We just keep pushing. We just keep pushing. And obviously, you have to make sure that you're being smart. You're giving yourself proper rest because, burning out is definitely going to give you some setbacks that you don't want to deal with. Burning out can come in different ways. From a mental standpoint, it can set you back. From a physical standpoint, you can get injured by doing too much. Let's say you're doing too much working out, pushing it too much. You can have some setbacks. Not being smart with our body, being aware of what's going on with our body. So there's a bunch of different aspects that we need to pay attention to in order to produce that growth that we're looking for. But for everybody, I just want you to focus on what is going to be your mission statement. And now you can determine what's the culture. You can back into what is the culture that I need to create internally in order to produce these results that I'm clearly laying out, identifying to myself, and now projecting to the universe of this will be my mission. All right. For some people, you can be inspired by the impact that you're going to make on the world. For others, it could just be about, hey, this is just an internal thing that I want to do for myself. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. You decide what it is and you go hard with it. So what is your mission statement? I want everybody to go through that exercise, determine what your mission statement is, determine the personal culture that is going to allow you to achieve that mission statement and move forward from there. All right. So I'll let y'all go with that one. Hopefully that was a good one for you all. Hopefully you go through the exercise and hopefully it brings you some of the results that you're looking to achieve in life. All right. Y'all know what it is with us. We're always here to elevate on purpose. And on that note, I'll let y'all get to it. Let y'all get to your day. And remember, the mission doesn't change. Whatever your mission statement is, it doesn't change. Our mission is to make this our greatest week ever. And on that note, I'll see y'all soon. Ew.